Peace and welcome to Inner Divinity, a podcast to help you tap into your inner divinity through metaphysics, practical spiritual steps, rituals, and integration. So here we value full body integration and not just talking about it, but quite literally being about it. So one of my clients this past week asked me, how do you know if you're going through a spiritual awakening? Or how do you know if things are just falling apart and that's what it is? And I thought this was such a beautiful question because it gets to the core feeling that the spiritual awakening actually feels like. And that is feeling like everything is falling apart and looking at the old you, the way that you used to view the world and how you used to resonate as something that's bad. And that's your ego just trying to make sense of what's happening, making sense of this new, greater awareness that's going on within you. I like to think about it like this. Spiritual awakening is like you're a little turtle, right? You're a turtle eating a lettuce, you're chilling, and you're in a little tank, right? You're a domesticated turtle. You're in a small little tank. You got your water, then you got your high ground and your rocks or whatever, and you're just chilling. Then all of a sudden, a greater force puts you in a bigger habitat. Whether that's now a natural water pond, whether that's a bigger tank, but regardless, you've been moved out your habitat. That's what awakening is, the expansion of your consciousness and inner habitat. You're going to, at first, like a couple days, it's going to feel like, you know what, this is a lot to handle. You may stay at one corner of the pond, one corner of the new aquarium. But over time, you're going to be like, okay, like let me sniff around. Let me figure out where I can eat. Let me figure out where I could sunbathe in. What's the best spots? Like, where's my lettuce going to be? Where am I going to hide my stash now? Like, you're going to be strategizing. And that's your ego. That's happening a couple of days after, a couple weeks after you're in this new environment. Then over time, with greater confidence and clarity of how this new habitat feels, who else is in this new habitat, then you're now able to really connect to this new version of you that is existing in this habitat fully. And that's the spiritual awakening path. That process, though, is difficult. That process is simple, but at times it feels really hard. The first couple days, weeks, months, sometimes it takes us years to reacclimate to this greater found awareness, because there's parts of us that want to go back. Like, I wish I didn't know this. I wish I knew that this is our only life and that everything that I'm seeing with my physical eye is real, because it needs to be like that so that I could feel grounded and in control. And that's natural. But the spiritual awakening is understanding that this physical world is inverted. This physical world has a mirroring technique of what is truly, truly real. And so by understanding this and really being able to harness this in our daily lives, that's when we get to the notion of, okay, I'm better off knowing my expansion instead of being ignorant to my limitation, and feeling more harmony with the limitation because you know that it's self-imposed. So you even being here, being a soul that has chosen this human experience, you have chosen limitation, essentially. And by choosing that limitation, by consciously on the other side, you're conscious enough to be like, hey, like I want to try that ride called Earth. I want to try that ride called Earth. And right now, I know it's going to have a lot of different things, but I'll get to experience. I'll be able to taste. I'll be able to see. I'll be able to touch. I'll be able to learn all these different things that are aspects of the human experience. And I'll just enjoy them because of the experience itself, being able to experience. That's what the higher part of you was already moving like and already wanted to do and experience. Yet, when we're on the path to that spiritual awakening and we're in the space where it's like, okay, this is happening. I don't really want this to happen. And now it's like, why do I now know this stuff? Look at it as an opportunity to explore a bigger and more expansive aspect of you, because that's really all it is. Even though it can be uncomfortable, this is simply an invitation. And you also do have the choice to not go with the awareness, but now you're going to have to push things down. Now you're going to feel how it feels to negate your own emotions, and that feels horrible. Dimming your own light, horrible. It feels horrible. And the reason why it feels horrible is because there's direct separation between your soul and your ego, the more conscious part of you. They're not congruent. And so I've learned this in a tough way of like, that is just like, I need to have this knowing and being able to do these certain things in a congruent manner while still being able to keep my old life. And that doesn't work. Our egos are trying to rationalize, and that's why we see spiritual psychosis and spiritual ego very often in a person's new spiritual journey, because there's phases to this awakening. And when things feel like they're falling apart, at one aspect they're falling together. Because who said that you were complete and whole in the first place? You just felt comfortable. But wholeness is integration. Wholeness is acceptance. Wholeness is allowance. Wholeness is abundance. Wholeness is sovereignty. So in reality, when we are spiritually asleep or spiritually dead, we don't even experience wholeness. It just feels very comfortable, and we are deep in the illusion that it is wholeness. So this cracking open is actually coming together, but it's necessary. It's very necessary. So you're still navigating through the environment. You're trying to feel better. You're trying to figure out, okay, like what is really feeling good for me, and how can I now take this new knowledge and share it with the world, because I want people to know, like, all these lies that are going around, and I want people to know how it feels to know that you are source, you are God, you have the cosmos within every cell of your body. And this is a beautiful thing to know. However, it's different to harness. Those are two different things. And sometimes when we're in that knowing aspect, right? So like we know it on a conscious level, like an intellectual level. Okay, yeah, I'm God. Okay, yeah, I know these things. There's some lies. We're in the matrix, all that stuff. And now we want to share it with all the matrix people and the NPCs and the family members, friends. Trust. That's a stage. Almost everyone I know has been in that stage. And it's easy to stay stuck in that stage because it's like, no, I should be spreading the word. Like, this is my healer ability. This is my duty. This is what I should be doing. And it's actually not. You're here to embody, not to tell. You could teach, but you don't have to tell. Telling with your actions, telling with your energy and presence. That's how you tell. But sharing manifestation techniques, sharing the ego facts, or sharing soul facts, or whatever the case may be, yeah, you can share all these things. However, if someone's not in the level of consciousness that's needed to absorb that in the way that you're sharing it, they won't hear it. They won't have ears, quite literally, to hear it. And that's okay. It's completely okay. Hi. Yeah, completely okay. And so with that, then now you're able to shift what you're wanting to continue to expand on within your own self. Oftentimes we're trying to water someone else's seeds or see how far along they are on the journey, when in reality we didn't get too far ourselves. And that's what makes it exhausting. So it's not about not being around low energy and switching up on people and all that stuff. Like, yes, protect your peace. Yes, set boundaries. But we have to be mindful of when it's our ego setting boundaries, or when it's actually our higher self and coming from a soul aligned place setting boundaries. So that's really key, because that's a huge phase in the spiritual awakening path, and I see it in a lot of people who are just now awakening, and they're wanting to share everything with everyone. And that's okay. It's coming from a beautiful place, but deep down, that's a layer of the ego. Because then it'll feel like, okay, I have a hierarchy. I'm over all these NPCs, like, because I'm awake and all of that. But in reality, you were just an NPC, or you were just someone who was asleep. And if you know that you're source and you know you're God, you know that you're everything. So the application of knowing that you're everything is non-judgment, is non-attachment to other people's experiences of being asleep. And so close to this stage and this phase in the spiritual awakening process, we'll also see spiritual psychosis. So this is where now everyone's, getting all the fire fits, right? The harems, the crystal bowls, the crystals, the jewelry, the vibe, just everything. They're gonna make their aesthetic that before they make their inner aesthetic. And trust, I love the crystals. I love the incense. I love all the tools, all the spiritual tools. However, I noticed when I wanted to use these things as a crutch or as a showcase, quite literally, to other people around me. Like, yeah, I'm a part of this group now. Like, yeah, I totally understand the metaphysics of things and the embodiment and ego and soul and, throwing things around, throwing words around that we haven't lived. And that's the process of learning. That's the process of learning. This is a natural process. So this is not to demonize anyone who is in that space. However, you don't want to stay there. And when our egos stay there, they constrict. When our egos stay there, now we don't create safe spiritual spaces for other people who are seeking true solace, true peace, and understanding, and wanting to be guided through their own inner journey. And so that's when we see people who are abusing being spiritual, abusing creating safe spaces, room for embodiment, but haven't gone through the process themselves. So then after that, there's a level of, okay, there's a lot of new emotions that are coming up. There's still new awareness. And then thinking like, oh shoot, I thought that I was so much further than I actually am. Like, why do I keep getting triggered? Why do I keep running into this same karmic lesson? Like, I know all this stuff. It's just not integrated. So when we're now trying to play the spirituality game, we have to keep in the forefront of our minds and our hearts that I am here to embody. Anything else is vanity. Anything else other than embodiment is vanity. And this is where the dark night of the soul comes in. Realizing that you may not be as far. Things coming up and it's like, whoa, I behaved like that towards this person, or in this scenario with these people, I allowed this spirit out of me. Because every person in every scenario can bring out an aspect of us that may be latent or dormant. And the spiritual path is to welcome that. The spiritual path is to honor that and to be inquisitive and curious. But when we are curious more so on the outer world, I'm curious of what manifestation techniques will really help me. I'm curious on what shadow work prompts I could do and then share on my Instagram. Those things are beautiful. Trust, I do those a lot. Practice rituals, write things down. But some things aren't meant to be shared until they're embodied. And even when they're embodied, they don't need to be showcased. Because embodiment doesn't need showcase, it just needs presence. So really moving with this understanding through your spiritual journey can help you not only be aware of the different phases, but also how you can harness each phase to your betterment and not to the detriment of yourself or others. So right after this phase, the dark night of the soul, and trust, there's going to be many. It's not just one and done. That's also what the spiritual journey will show you. It's never just one and done. There's multiple ego deaths in a lifetime. But after this phase, spiritual bypassing may occur and come up only because the dark night of the soul wasn't fully integrated. And so this part, the spiritual bypassing is understanding, y'all, my tripod. But the spiritual bypassing is definitely the experience of not wanting to show you feel an emotion, especially if it's an emotion that is deemed negative, just to save face. When you're on a spiritual journey, saving face should not be the top priority, because it's not possible. Whenever someone's trying to save face, that ideology of saving face is really just hiding an aspect of you. And that breeds inauthenticity. Whew. And trust, I learned the hard way, and I feel like this past year has been the most authentic year for my entire life. Like that in and of itself is powerful. But I started this quote unquote spiritual journey consciously about 2019. But I was already on it as soon as I stepped foot in the womb. Your existence is spiritual. You can't not do anything that is not spiritual. Everyone's doing something that is spiritual. It's just a matter of how we're looking at it, and it's a matter of our intention with it. But it's all spiritual. It's all energetic. So bypassing is not fully allowing yourself to feel those emotions and negating that those emotions even exist within you. And this is the part of us that wants to not be human, because we think that being human is inherently bad, or being human is making us less spiritual, when it is not. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. Being spiritual and human are interdependent. They must happen together. So you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So that means in and of itself, our humanity is spiritual. And so at this preface, this is where we are guided and invited to deeper integration. And right here is the moment that I help people move through their emotions, move through their trauma and tension and through the way of the body, to help them rise and release and dissipate that energy, or even transmute it into something that is positive and powerful for them. This is where somatic healing comes into play, emotional integration, and I personally use Reiki energy healing to help my clients do this, and also somatic stretch therapy to release emotion and trauma from the level of the fascia. So these are powerful practices for us to anchor into the body, because oftentimes as a spiritually awakened being, we are wanting to negate our humanness, and a part of our humanness is this vessel. It is our body. So there's truly no need to negate this aspect of you, because if you negate this aspect of you, you're negating it in another. And if we negate it in another, we can never truly love another. But if we can never truly love another, then we wouldn't love ourselves. And that's why we're here, to reflect love, give love, and receive love. We're just love vessels. The more I understand that, and every single rising remind myself of that, I have a more powerfully grounded day, rooted in love, rooted in proper action. Action that reminds myself of who I am. And that's a bundle of love. So if you've gotten this far in my Walking Spiritual Awakening video, I am grateful for you, and I'm here for you while you are on the journey. So whether you're on the journey and this is your first day, or your first year, your 10th year, there's always something new to learn about yourself, because we are so multi-layered. We have so many aspects of us that are powerful, and also aspects of us that we may not want to see. But the spiritual journey is inviting us to the dark parts so we can shed light on them internally. It's an inner game. And this inner game dictates the outer experience, not the other way around. So I love you. I create quantum tools to help you on this spiritual journey, on your earth journey as a spiritual being. You can check out my Substack. I have a podcast. And I also have digital tools that you could download at my shop, sairaembra.com/shop. Peace. Love you. Bye.
I honor God when I honor me. I honor God when I honor you. You honor God when you honor me. If you don't honor God, how could you honor me?